This presentation is prepared by me and Trushali Dodiya. Uh, those are some points which we are going to discuss in this our presentation. So first, introduction. Orwell started writing 1984 in August 1946 and completed it in November 1948. During this time, he was seriously ill for much of the time, and in October 1948 he wrote to his friend that he was not pleased with this book, but he was not totally disappointed for this book. uh, he he thought of this book in 1943, but he couldn't write this book because of his tuberculosis, his disease. The book was first published on June 8, 1949. It created some bitter political controversy. Critics considered this book as one of the most important books of the age. It was translated into 23 languages, and in 1956 it was made into a successful film also. Those are some pictures of this cover photo. These all editions are from Penguin Editions. This novel 1984 is primarily a satire at Soviet Russia. It is also in some ways directed against the British society of Orwell's time. Orwell saw elements of Oceania in England of his own days as well, not to speak of the United States. The novel portrays the very real political terrorism of Nazi Germany and Stalinist Russia transported into the landscape of London. For continuous 8 months, the bombs were dropped on the landscape of London and other areas of this Britain. These all attacks are undertaken by Germany's Chancellor Adolf Hitler. So we can see that what kind of situation they face in this picture. 1984 was written between the years of 1947 and 48, only 2-3 years after the end of World War II. This conflict of immense proportions, the outcome of which was critical to the survival of democracy, inspired George Orwell to consider the tenuousness of the people's rule. His book created some bitter political controversy, and Orwell tried to clarify that thing that his recent novel is not intended as an attack on socialism or on the British Labour Party, of which he was supported also, but as a show up of the perversions to which centralized economy is liable, and which have already been partly realized in communism and fascism. To deal with this political controversy, he also said that he believed that that thing that he that what kind of society described in this book will not necessarily will arrive, but something similar it could arrive. He also clarified that thing that the totalitarian ideas rooted in the minds of people. So it that point out that thing what is consequences maybe happen for that. Biography of George Orwell. Eric Arthur Baer, his pen name was George Orwell. He wrote most of his work with his pen name, this George Orwell. He was born in 93 in Motihari, Bengal in India. He attended the local primary school at Henley-on-Thames. Orwell's essay called Such Were the Joys contains memories of his life at St. Cyprian's. This essay was written in 1948 but was published only after his death because the memories recorded it in it were not only unpleasant but too painful. The novel 1984 particularly reflects the uh, pernicious effects of his life at this school. From St. Cyprian's School, Orwell proceeded to the public school at Eton, where he spent the next 4.5 years. In 1949, he published in 1984. This was his last novel, and by the end of 1948, he was seriously ill and was hardly able to write anything. In January 1950, he died. This is a picture of his school, St. Cyprian School. His writing style. George Orwell's writing style is a very directed and somewhat journalistic. Orwell provided 6 rules for writers to follow. Those are six rules. The first is never use metaphors or simile. Then second one is never use a long one when and equally good short words will do just fine. And third one is if a word is not absolutely necessary, then do not include it. Then fourth one is it is important to never use the passive tone when the active tone is also enabled. And the fifth thing is one should never use a foreign phrase or a scientific term if there is an everyday equivalent that can be used. Then the last one is it is absolutely imperative to break any of those rules if the only other. Um, those are 6 rules which he provided to for writers, and these are some major works of his. And his writing, those are his writing theme: language, loyalty, totalitarianism, poor versus rich, imperialism, communism, technology, and those all. And this is key fact about this novel. Full title of this novel is 1984. The author is George Orwell. Type of work is novel. The genre of this novel is dystopian fiction and science fiction. Language of this novel is English. Time and place written. This novel written in England in 1949. Date of first publication is 1949. Publisher is Harcourt Brace, Joanne of which, and narrator, the narrators here the third person narrator, and that is limited. Climax, when Winston talks with the cage of rats in room 101. The protagonist of this novel is Winston Smith, and antagonist is the party Big Brother. Setting of this novel, according time, is 1984. The place is London, England, known as Extreme One in the novel's alternate reality. Point of view is Winston Smith point of view. And further discussion, I would like to Trushali Dodiya.
So before understanding the novel, it is important to clarify first the various concepts which is described in the novel. These concepts are very much important to understand before looking at the story or plot of the story. These words are used a lot throughout the novel. So let's have a look at it. Ingzok is a short form of English socialism. In this novel, there works thought police, which is generally known as think pol in the novel. Thought police are the secret police of the super state of Oceania who discovers and punish thought crime. So we'll look at what is thought crime. Personal and political thoughts unapproved by INGSOC means English socialism regime. Thought crime is a crime that you are guilty of because you are thinking of doing something bad, just about thinking thoughts that go against the political ideologies of the party, which is Big Brother party. There are four victory mentions. Sorry, there are victory mentions. These mentions are the apartment buildings where Winston lives in. There is nothing like from the plumbing to the electricity works, and it emphasizes the effect that living under a totalitarian government has on the society. Though it is known as a victory mansion, there is not a kind of facilities available for the party members as such. There are four ministries are working in the novel, uh, and these four ministries are dominant in the Oceania and Big Brother, under the Big Brother party. First one is the Ministry of Truth, which is known by the name Minitru also. The Ministry of Truth is centered on creating lies. So see the contrast. It is known as Ministry of Truth, but it creates a lie which is in favor of the party, and these truths are being changed according to the party's statements and their welfare. The second one is the Ministry of Peace, which is known as Minipax. The Ministry of Peace is where everything related to the war is handled, and peace is never considered. Third one is Ministry of Love, which is also known as mini love. Oceania's interior, this one is in Oceania's interior ministry, which enforces loyalty to the Big Brother through fear, buttressed through a massive apparatus of security and repression, as well as systematic brainwashing. Thought police comes under this ministry. So this Ministry of Love, put a control on love and physical intercourses. Ministry of Plenty, which is also known as Mini Plenty, fourth of the four ministries, which commands economy. It oversees rationing of food, supplies, and goods. We can see that these four ministries are in the novel, which is exactly opposite in the novel. Like there is nothing like truth. Everything is every one of the party member is creating lies. There is not any kind of peace as well. Love is being banned or objected or oppressed, and foods are not that much easily available, or there is not any kind of government is not overseeing the needs of the Oceanian people. Big Brother. In the novel, we will observe that there is George Orwell describes that everywhere the hoarding of Big Brother is shown, and there is like Big Brother is watching you everywhere, and telescreen is also used. Big Brother is a fictional character, the dictator of the totalitarian empire of Oceania in the novel. Though Big Brother does not appear directly in the story, his presence permeates Oceania's bleak society. There is one statement: who controls the past controls the future, who controls the present controls the past. That's what the Big Brother party is doing in the name of Big Brother. 2 minutes hits is observed, which is the daily public period during which members of outer party of Oceania must watch a film depicting the enemies of the state, specifically Emmanuel Goldstein, who is the opposing party of Big Brother, and his followers openly and loudly to express hatred for them. Purpose of it is existential anguish and personal hatred towards politically expedient enemies. Goldstein and the enemy superstate of the movement. There was another hate, that is hate which is observed in the late summer. It is a psychological operation designed to increase the hatred of the population for the current enemy of the totalitarian party as much as possible, whichever of the two opposing superstate they may be. So this 2 minutes hate and hate weeks constantly presents a hate for the opposing party. So the people of Oceania will never go against the party and always praise that and hate the opposite party of Emmanuel Goldstein. There is the word newspeak. Newspeak is a language used by politicians and government officials that is intentionally difficult to understand or does not mean what it seems to mean, and it therefore likely to confuse or deceive people. Like at one place they are saying other thing, and on the other side they are saying very different perspective. So there is a kind of ambiguity in their language. They does not tell true or does not tell lie, like that. There is also a concept, a double think, which is a process of indoctrination in which subjects are expected to simultaneously accept two conflicting beliefs as truth, often at odds with their own memory or sense of reality. Like in newspeak, there are two ambiguous language. In double think also there are two conflicted beliefs are believed as a truth. So party can never say that this is truth or that is truth. Now let's look at the important characters quickly. O'Brien first. Uh, Big Brother is at the center, who is the leader of the party. O'Brien is a follower of the agent of the party, and Emmanuel Goldstein in and Big Brother both are opposite. And O'Brien first is a character who behaves like he is a follower of Emmanuel Goldstein, but he was a secret agent of Big Brother leader party. Julia is a lover of Winston Smith and who is also against the party of Big Brother. Winston Smith is a protagonist of our novel, who is not like Julia, who is a bit opposing the Big Brother party, but in a much broader way, he is opposing the party of Big Brother. Now, while Winston, Mr. Sherrington is a person, a man who gives home to Winston Smith for rent. So, Winston stays at the home of Mr. Sherrington with Julia at a at a time, and Mr. Sherrington is also a person who gives diary to Winston, and who has also a kind of antique things or shops like. These three are a big brother parties. We can say opposite. During the novel, we can see that Big Brother arrests Parsons, who is Winston's neighbor, and Ampleforth, who is a poet of sorts who work with Winston. So Big Brother party leaders arrest both of them, and Syme is a newspeak expert. So we can see that though all three are the member of the party, they are being arrested or vaporized by the party. So in the novel, at the end of the novel, we will see that how Big Brother party is using their own people, their own employees to achieve their own goals, to present the superiority of the party. So this is about the brief introduction of the uh, major characters. Now I'd like to call Hina to clarify the plot of the novel.
Critical summary of this novel. Part 1. This novel start with a bright cold day in April. And the opening chapter introduces briefly two major characters, Winston Smith O'Brien and the girl working in the fiction department, who is Julia. There is also an introduction to Emmanuel Goldstein, who is enemy of the people and against whom a hate campaign is daily carried on by the authorities. The name of the state is Oceania. Extreme one is one of the province of the state, and London is the chief city of that all province. One of the important things is to notice here is a poster showing a large face with the caption "Big Brother is watching you." And there are the thought police and the telescreen. All that thing are occurring in the part one. Then the three slogans of the party deserve special attention. These are those three slogans which is most important in this novel. First is the war is to be regarded as peace. Then second one is freedom is to be regarded as slavery, and third one is importance is to be cherished as strength. Then further, Winston decided to keep a diary, which decision is a dangerous one, and he is perfectly aware of it. But he doesn't care about what happened to him. These Winston decided to keep a diary, but he know all kind of things that what kind of situation he will came to face, but he didn't care about anything. Winston was married to a woman called Catherine, but he had separated from each other, and all marriages between party members have to be approved by a special committee organization called Junior Anti-Sex League. The 80 and here in this novel 85% of the population of Oceania are Poles, and only among them can be forced to destroy the party ever be generated. As the party slogans put it, Poles and animals are free. Here in this novel, Winston Smith Winston Smith's ideas upon that roles are very much important. Roles are those people here. We can see that this picture first, the authority is big brother, then under party, and then outer party, and proles are under that all kind of authorities. Proles are those people who are free to do anything. They are not, they don't restricted by police and party. Then part 2. Julia heads the party. She works on the novel writing machines in the fiction department of the Ministry of Truth. Winston has taken on rent the room above Mr. Carrington's shop. Realize the risk involved. The quality of Winston's love for Julia is also dwelt upon in this part. Most unexpected encounter between Winston and O'Brien occur in this part, and then chapter 8 is marks a climax in the story. Mhm. Because in this part both character Winston and Julia, they take the dangerous step of revealing their true feeling to O'Brien, because they are under the impression that O'Brien is also um, secretly opposite to the party, and O'Brien is a good 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 human, and he can understand both of them. But they came to know that Mr. Carrington, who is not an anti dealer, but he is official officer of thought police. Then this act, part 3, Winston is now a prisoner in one of the cells of Ministry of Love. He has no idea of where Julia is or what her fate might be. And then the door opens and O'Brien enters. He is member of the inner party, and Winston can expect no mercy from him. He is subjected to several kinds of torture, and then in order that he should confess his crime against the state, and he how many times he had bitten, and how long the beating had continued, he could not remember that. Um, he had to made to confess that crime which he had never committed. The punishment to which Winston is being subjected across in us both a feeling of terror and pity. There is a touch of melodrama and sensationalism in the account of the beating and the mechanical torture to which Winston is subjected. Then O'Brien next and acquaints Winston with the kind of future of party. He said that there will be no art, no literature, no science. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on the human face forever. Winston intellectually and mentally surrendered to the party, and his inner heart is still unconquered. This attitude calls for further corrective or corrective treatment by the party. Winston is taken to the room number 101. This room number 101 is dangerous one. There were starving rats will shoot out of the cage like bullets, and they all attack on Winston in his face and will start eating into his cheeks and tongue. The cage served its purpose. Winston has betrayed Julia and thus lost his integrity. Then, the ending of the novel is extremely pessimistic. Winston has completely converted and he loves Big Brother thoroughly. He was dehumanized, and the love affair between Winston and Julia also comes to end. Thus, the party has achieved its purpose. That's how Winston changed by his emotion, his thought, and uh, he came to believe that Big Brother is authority, and he believe in all kind of that thing. Then further discussion, I would like to call Trushali.
Look at the character study. The Winston Smith is the protagonist of the novel, who is a minor member of the ruling party of Oceania, a thin, frail, contemplative, intellectual, and fatalistic 39-year-old man who hates the totalitarian control and has a kind of revolutionary dreams. But at the end, the Big Brother party itself crushed his dreams of revolution and his revolution by torturing him by his biggest fear of raids. The another character is Julia, who is Winston's lover, beautiful dark-haired girl who works in the fiction department at the Ministry of Truth. She claims to have had a sexual affairs with many party members. She is pragmatic and optimistic. She privately rebels against the party for her own enjoyment, unlike Winston's ideological motivations. Though both the characters are having a kind of revolution against the party, but the difference is that Julia is doing for her own enjoyment, not like Winston Smith. Goldstein is the opposite party member of Big Brother. According to party, Goldstein is the legendary leader of the Brother- Brotherhood. Big Brother is watching you is everywhere. Hmm. Yeah, he seems to have been a party leader who falls out of favor with the regime. The party describes him as the most dangerous and treacherous man in Oceania. Party used him as a prime example during the gatherings of 2 minutes hit. Mr. Sharrington is sorry, it is by mistake. He is the minor member. Sorry, it is being. But Mr. Sharrington is the one who gives a home to Winston Smith, and who is a keeper of an antique shop. But secretly he is a party member of Big Brother. of what Julia and Winston feels about him. O'Brien, unlike Mr. Sherrington's, is a secret member of Big Brother party, a mysterious, powerful, and sophisticated member of the inner party, whom Winston's believe is also a member of the Brotherhood, the legendary group of the anti-party rebels. But it is not like that. Winston makes eyes contact with this man during one of the 2 minutes hate. But at the end, we can see that O'Brien reveals the truths of Winston and Julia at the end, who brings the fall of Winston at the end. The red-armed prole woman is also the very much important character. The woman is what Winston. This is the woman that Winston hears singing when he is with Julia at the upper home of Mr. Sherrington's, who represents Winston's one hope for the future, that the proles will unite to get rid of the party. As Hina has previously described that 80% of the population were proles, but they are not having a kind of revolutionary thoughts against the party, though they are of minority against the proles. As symbol of fertility, that the woman's offspring are a sign for the future. I have taken these 6 major characters of the novel. Now let's go through the themes. First one is the totalitarianism, which this theme is at the center of the novel. This is a form of government that attempts to assert total control over the lives of its citizens. The main goal was to warn of the serious dangers totalitarianism poses to society. Notions of personal rights and freedoms and individual thoughts are pulverized under all powerful hand of the government. So in totalitarian government, there is a center, the person who is controlling the whole nation or party. Orwell was a socialist and believed strongly in the potential for rebellion to advance society, yet too often he witnessed the horrific lengths to which totalitarian governments in Spain and Russia would go in order to sustain and increase their power. As we have seen in the Great Dictator, there is the character named Hinkle, who is also like a tyrant, like a totalitarian government. The title of the novel was meant to indicate to its reader in 1949 that the story represented a real possibility of the near future if totalitarianism were not opposed. The title suggested some variations of the world described in the novel could become a reality in only 35 years. So, through this novel, George Orwell is predicting the future. If such condition will be continued, there will be a rule of complete totalitarian government. Winston Smith sets out to challenge the limits of the party's power and only to discover that its ability to control and enslave its subjects dwarfs even his most paranoid conceptions of its reach. The party uses a member of the techniques to control its citizens. There are throughout the novel there is a kind of control on the people or party members. We can say 3 major controls: psychological manipulation, physical control, and control of information and history and informations are also being controlled according to the wishes of the party and welfare of the party. The role of the language and the act of writing, both are being prohibited. Freedom of thoughts and freedom of writing was not given. Newspeak is the official language of Oceania, which functions as a device of extreme party control. If the party is able to control thought, it can also control the action. So let people not to think. Let's give them the thoughts to they, so that they do not have to think what they have to do. So that people will go blank, so they will not able to understand what is going on. Even though the year 1984 has passed, The book is still timely due to Orwell's vision and foresight. The decline of language troubled Orwell, who was a writer with political and historical agendas. If language could change for the worse, then truth could change into lies. And that was something that Orwell fought against both in his personal life and in his writing, as we have seen in a Double Think and Newspeak. The language is quite ambiguous, so that people cannot figure out what they want to tell, so that they can change truth to lies and lies to truth. And mind control is also there. Mutability of history. One of the issues raised in 1984 is the idea that history is mutable or changeable. One can change history according to their ruling power. Truth is what the party deems it to be, and that the truths found in history are the basis of the principles of the future. If you tell a lie loud enough, often enough, people will accept it as a truth. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past, as we have seen earlier. Winston Smith's position in the Ministry of Truth, creating or forging the past into something unrecognizable to any person with an accurate memory, so that each forgery becomes historical fact. The novel makes the distinction between the truth and fact, and then explores the social, political, ethical, moral nuances of the evil manipulation of the facts in order to control individuals and societies for the political gain. So in a way, the party is trying to change the history according to their profits. If we'll go through the novel, we'll see that first they say that Eurasia is against us, the fight is going on. And after that, according to the profits of the party, well-beings of the party, they change that. Now Eurasia is not against us. That was another nation who was against us. So in a way, they are changing their histories. Technology plays a vital role. The big telescreen is and big telescreen is a major tools which is controlling the speaking, expressing and expressing through voice and body. By means of telescreens, the hidden microphones across the city, the party is able to monitor its members almost all of the time. So for Winston, when he wanted to physical intercourse, when he wanted to meet Julia, they have to go where there is no telescreen and where there is no hidden microphones. Party employs complicated machines mechanism to exert large-scale control on economic production and sources of information, and fearsome machinery to inflict torture upon those it deems enemies. 1984 reveals that technology, which is generally perceived as working toward the moral good, can also facilitate the most diabolical evil. In the modern time, we have also seen that there Charlie Chaplin is giving a kind of overview of the disadvantages of this CCTV cameras. How a member of the party or a dominant person is operating all the systems according to them. Then loyalty. Party seeks to ensure that the only kind of loyalty possible is loyalty to the party. There should be nothing a kind of loyalty towards other rather than the party. Neighbors and co-workers inform on one another, and Mr. Parsons' own child reports him to the thought police. In the school, childs are being taught to go against their parents if they are against the rules and regulations of the party. In the end, the party does make Winston stop loving Julia and love Big Brother instead, the only form of loyalty which is allowed in the novel. At the end, 2 plus 2 makes 5, not 4. If Big Brother is believing that, you must believe that, and that is the loyalty you should have to pay towards the party. Resistance and revolution. Winston explores in increasingly risky and significant acts of resistance against the party. Winston builds up minor rebellions by committing personal acts of disobedience, such as keeping a journal, which is a crime, or against the party, buying a decorative paperweight. Uh, Escalates his rebellion through his sexual relationship with Julia. Relationship is a double rebellion as it includes the thought crime of the desire. Independence and identity. The basic traits of establishing one's identity are unavailable to Winston and the other citizens of the Oceania, as their only identity is a follower of the party. Instead of being unique individuals with, with specific identifying details, every member of the outer party is identical. All party members wear the same clothing and same etiquettes, forming a sense of individual identities not only psychologically challenging but logistically difficult. Winston's significant decisions can be interpreted as attempts to build a sense of identity. Now we'll go through the symbols. Big Brother is a face of the party, uh, also head of the party. He symbolizes the party in its public manifestation. He is the reassurance to most of the people. The warmth of his name suggests his ability to protect, but rather he is not protecting the people of the Oceania, but he is also an open threat. One cannot escape his gaze. Big Brother is watching you. The telescreen also symbolizes how a totalitarian government abuses technology for its own ends instead of exploiting its knowledge to improve civilization. Which the telescreen also symbolizes the constant monitoring of people. Glass paperweight symbolizes Winston's attempt to reconnect with the past, which is not, uh, which is banned or which is prohibited like that. Symbolically, when the thought police arrest Winston at last, the paperweight shatters on the floor, which shows this shattering shows that the connection of past and present has been broken or shattered. Saint Clement's Church, which is the picture at the antique store of Mr. Sherrington's. The old picture of the Saint Clement's Church and the room that Winston rents above Mr. Sherrington's shop is another representation of the lost past. Like glass paperweight, Winston associates a song with the picture that ends with the words, "Here comes the chopper to chop off your head." This is an important foreshadow as it is the telescreen hidden behind the picture that ultimately leads the thought police to Winston, symbolizing the party's corrupt control of the past. The red armed woman, whom Winston hears singing through the window, represents Winston's one legitimate hope for the long-term future, the possibility that the proles will eventually come to recognize their plight and rebel against the party, which never ends till the end of the novel. Prime example of reproductive virility, he often imagines her giving birth to the future generation that will finally challenge the party's authority. Red is the biggest fear of Winston, which symbolizes fear which is used against Winston by O'Brien, who tortures him with a cage of rats over his head so that he finally gives in and he finally surrenders himself to the party. Room number 101. Throughout the novel, at the end, Winston asks O'Brien what is there in room number 101. So it represents the power of the party and is the room where Winston's spirit is crushed. Room number 101 is representation utilized by the party to show absolute dominance. It proves that the party has the power to totally ruin someone through the use of their deepest fear. So how the party is using their own members to show the proles to that this person were against the party and providing the kind of hatred towards them. These two research paper I found that is very much important. The novel I haven't include dystopian. The novel is a dystopian fiction, but this dystopian element in George Orwell's 1984 by Balaji Peleminuthu, which is very much important. So, dystopian fiction is a genre describing an imaginary place where life is extremely bad because of deprivation, oppression, and terror. The whole control of of the party over people is described through the novel. So, I'd like to suggest you to refer this. And this one is also the whole of bleakness, a psychological approach to 1984. In this paper, it is told that uh, it is not important what particular characters are doing, but rather it is very much important why they are doing and how they are doing. So the whole paper is oriented in the point of view of Winston Smith, why and how he is doing uh, particular activities or thoughts. This one, Ramji Lal's book, George Orwell, 1984. This is very much good. This is very much good to read the critical interpretation of the novel. The summary critical analysis of the each part is given here, and there are also other research papers and other important critical analysis of the novel is given, symbols, thematic studies also. So this book is also available in our central library. So I'd like to also refer you to at once refer this book. So these are the citations. Thank you. This is all about the presentation.